Okay, this is just going to be a quick overview of how most users should probably be using Capture One so that you don't make the mistake that I did and lose so many of your images, and it'll cause you so much headache. So if you're not unfamiliar with Capture One, this is what it looks like. It does look fairly similar to something like Adobe Lightroom. Now, if you are coming from Adobe Lightroom and you want to change the interface, this is the quickest way to do it. Just come up here to Window and go to Workspace, change the workspace to Migration. Migration is the automatic Lightroom setup. It's the default. It will take, here we go, perfect. On my computer, everything will take some time. I have multiple recording programs going, so if it seems slow, I promise Capture One is generally the faster software as far as Capture One 21 is involved. So here we can see that we have all of the library on the bottom. We have all the edits on the right, dehaze, base characteristics, etc. Base characteristics, let's go ahead and drag that to the top. It's a really interesting thing. Depending on which camera you have, you can actually change the camera profile and the imaging processing for your camera. When I say imaging processing, I mean the color processing. So all you need to do is just come down here, click show all. I'm using an A7R Mark IV. But here you can literally choose any different camera manufacturer that you would like. If you want to go to, say, the new Z7 II and try that out, see what it's all about. Let's go up here and let's go to Vivid. Why not? Let's go to Vivid. It's looking pretty saturated. Let's go and undo that. All right. And we're just going to go ahead and change that back. Perfect. Okay, so we're back to the original image, and let's go ahead and change our workspace back. Just go to Window, Workspace, and everything on it. You can call your workspace whatever you like, but this is what I use for mine. So now that we have Capture One launched and open, and we do have the images in it currently, you can see the images on the side. Let's expand this so we can see more images at once. Amazing. The first thing that anyone coming from Lightroom is going to notice is that you actually do have this layer panel here. Layers can either be brushes, you can have the entire layer, etc. If you press M, you can draw whatever you want. You can see where you're drawing, etc. And then that'll be a specific adjustment. Not too different from Lightroom, it's just that you can actually see it, change the opacity, etc. But the main thing that I want to talk about with Capture One is how Capture One uses the sessions and files folders. When I started out Capture One, the person that told me to use Capture One told me that I need to use catalogs. And when I heard catalogs, I heard it in plural, which meant to me that for every shoot, I should make a new catalog, which it was really bad. I've lost so many images over the years, and I have had such a headache trying to retrieve them and re-import them. So this video, I'm going to try to save you so much time. And here's how we're going to do that. So as far as a catalog, this is what a catalog should look like. Here we have my 2 terabyte T7 drive. You go to 2020, and here you could see that I just have this one folder. And if you click on this right here, it'll actually open up Capture One. Capture One's already open, so we're not going to worry about that. But this is how it should look. Sorry, everything got cut out there for a second, just using the internal screen recording software. Not recommended. So let's go ahead and speed it up. So like I said, this is how things should look in the Capture One catalog session. And if we go over to a different hard drive, let's say we go to my Lacey, this is where I had the most problems. So originally my thought process was that every year I'm going to start out every year with its own separate catalog. That was my original thought. Or that's how I would build my catalog tree. So if we open up 2019, I'll know anything I shot in 2019 would be there. My main issue there was I didn't always re-import into the same folder, which was 100% my fault. And I ended up with multiple 2019 folders simply because the import process can be a little bit more clunky when compared to other imaging processing softwares. So we'll go ahead and speed ramp until this is loaded. Okay, great. So what we see here is every single folder here is its own catalog. The issue with that is I can never consistently browse between different images. If I have a shoot that I shot yesterday and a new shoot that I shot today, I need to basically close Capture One and reopen Capture One to be able to open the previous shoot. It's super clunky. You waste time doing it. And when you have so many different catalogs, you're really prone to error. So as far as all of these raw images right here are concerned, these should be somewhere. I don't know what happened here, but it has happened to so many folders and so many catalogs where the images ended up outside of the catalog. Now, if we go back to what this should look like, let's go to this T7 drive and let's go to 2020, revised November 2020. It should look like this. You shouldn't see any of your folders here. You should just be able to click on this little icon and it should appear. If you go in the originals, all your images are saved in these separate, this separate folder tree. I'm not entirely sure why their naming structure is that way, but they're all saved here. Working on it, and there they are. Boom. Easy. It's out of sight. As long as they're there, you know your folder tree is probably going to be working, and you'll be able to pull them up. But I don't know what happened with the previous Lacy drive. This one, 4 terabytes of data that just kind of ended up not in their folder. So this is how you should do it. When you do import, go ahead and import them into the same catalog. Just name your folder, your catalog, as your drive or the year. It's going to be your easiest way to go. And then once we import everything into our catalog, we'll have our all images tab here, and you'll see how many images are in your all images. And I will say with larger catalogs, this sometimes can definitely take some time to load. It looks like this is running pretty seamlessly at the moment, which is great. But one thing that the issue here is now I have multiple shoots that are all in the same folder, and I don't want that. So all we need to do is we just click on multiple of the same folder or multiple of the same shoot, and we can actually just drag these over to any of these separate albums that we created. And these are actually all already in an album. To create an album, just click this little plus icon here, create an album, name it as whatever you want. I already have one here, Capture One album. As you can see, there's no images in this album. But if we go here, all the images are there, and we can simply browse between all the images that we ever shot in the same place without closing Capture One, reopening a separate folder, and trying to stay in that creative flow, because it's really going to be the most important thing about photography and editing. You want to be able to stay in front of the computer with as the least amount of friction possible when it comes to the editing process, because I know that sometimes you'll be working there and you will use any excuse to not edit and to put it off till the next day, and then you'll just burn the midnight oil to get it all done. And if you have multiple catalogs and you need to edit multiple catalogs on the same night, you're just really going to have a bad time. Definitely recommend, like I said, use the same catalog, import all your images into the same catalog until you fill up that hard drive, and then simply use this separate album folder. That way, like I said, you can simply bounce between all of these, and it simply just pulls up all of your photos instantaneously. It's super snappy. Again, when you don't have so many programs running like I do, then things really tend to work really quite seamlessly. If you guys have any questions, hit me up down below. Till then.